Today's episode of the Fine Homebuilding Podcast is brought to you by the Home Depot. There's a difference between do it yourself and do it for a living. At the Home Depot, they get that, and they're here to help pros get the whole job done better and faster. Get the lowest price on the things you need with bulk and volume pricing. Then, get it all where you need it and when with buy online, pick up in store, or job site delivery with text notifications. You save time and money. When you've got a job, they're on the job. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
I would rather a company that's doing $500,000 in business make a 6% net profit than a $1 million company doing a 3% net profit.
Right.
Because the money is the same, but the headaches are probably quadrupled.
Yeah, you're not kidding about that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of the Fine Homebuilding Podcast. If you listened to our last episode with the Shawn Van Dyke, then you already know this is part 2. If you didn't listen to it, I suggest you go back and start there and then come to this one next. Not that they necessarily go in order, but it just makes me feel better when you go in order. So we have Shawn Van Dyke on a video chat with us here. Say hello, Shawn.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
And if you didn't hear the last episode, or you just need a little reminder, Shawn is a business consultant who specializes in helping people in the building trades. You can visit him at ShawnVanDyke.com. That's Shawn with a W. Or you can shoot him an email at connect@ShawnVanDyke.com. You can watch a stream of this at FineHomebuilding.com/podcast. And I think that's all the housekeeping. Let's dive right back in because I got more questions. So the last time we spoke, last episode, we talked about kind of the basic bookkeeping stuff. And that's great for those people who are just trying to figure out the numbers in the air and where's everything going. So let's assume we got that figured out. I'm on to that's 101. I'm at 201 in my business. And okay. I'm starting to grow and I'm making money. But I got to figure out stuff like, when does it make sense to hire somebody? Can I do this forever? Or do I need to figure out how to be a business owner and not a guy wearing a tool belt? And those kinds of issues. So I'm guessing you get a lot of that.
Yeah. And so I get the question a lot about, we're busy, we're doing good work, we're booked up for months, but I think that I need to grow, or I need to hire an employee, but I'm scared because right. That's what I hear is, that's a big commitment. And that's great when you get to that point and you have that level of fear. It means you're probably doing things well. But here's how to kind of look at that is now that you've got a runway built out a little bit, meaning you got some work booked up. A lot of times contractors will look at hiring that first employee or that next employee, and they'll look at it in terms of a year. Like if I bring guy on or a gal on for $20 an hour, that's like $40,000. That's a big commitment. I'm looking at the bank account, right, and I don't have $40,000. And that's where I kind of say you got to change your mindset about the value of that person and the amount of money that you kind of need to make that hire. So the way I look at it is you have to say, okay, if this person that you're going to hire is worth $20 an hour, that's their market rate for their skills or their abilities. You have to first look at how much time you as the owner operator are spending doing more high valued work, meaning sales, project management, business development, those kind of things. So let's say, for example, in the owner operator scenario or small business scenario, the owner is probably doing all of the sales as well. And in general, you got a good reputation. People are calling you. You go out on a sales call. You meet with the person. You walk them through the project. You spend a couple of hours with them. And maybe you go back, prepare a proposal, whatever. And let's say you spend 4 hours doing that and you sell the job. Mm-hmm. And that job nets you $4,000 in the end to your business. I'm saying net profit or whatever. Okay. The 4 hours that you spend selling that job that nets you $4,000 is the equivalent of getting paid $1,000 an hour.
I'll take that.
So, but it's not a full-time job. Most construction business owners are doing sales for their company part-time. or even less than part-time, right? So, but that's what the value of that time is worth. So then when you look at it like that, it's saying, why would you ever do $20 an hour work if you could just free yourself up to do more $1,000 an hour work?
Right. I guess I'm guessing the fear is because you really know how to do that, $40 or $50 an hour work. And that's what customers want. And when you start getting into like, I'm going to spend my time trying to create social media or like shopping around for the right, suppliers and things, that's a little more of a leap of faith. Like, where's the return on it? It's not as tangible up front.
It is, but I think the fear comes in. So that's just how the math works out. You can do $1,000 an hour work technically. So just do as much of that as possible. That doesn't mean you'll be doing it 40 hours a week, but concentrate as much time as you can that makes sense, and then get back out in the field. It's not going to be a full-time, it's not going to be a full-time job. But the other fear comes into like that $40,000 number, looking out all year and saying, man, that's a big commitment. And I say, hey, when you're hiring employees and you're running a business, other than maybe the first couple of weeks where they're learning where the shop is and where you keep the toilet paper for the bathroom and where the job sites are and where the shims and screws are, outside of that, after that first week or first 2 weeks, they should be making you money.
Right.
So it's not like, oh, I don't have $40,000. That's such a big commitment. You probably need 2 or 3 rounds of payroll. So 3 to 6 weeks worth. And so for somebody that's making, $20 an hour, that's $800 a week times, say, 6 weeks, $4,800, you need about $5,000. That's what you need to make that commit. Because if you've got the work and your work, you see what I'm saying, is if after 4 weeks or 6 weeks, they're not making you money, well, they don't get to work there anymore.
Right.
You're not going to pay them $40,000 and realize for a whole year and realize, well, I made this commitment to them. No, they make a commitment to you when you hire them to say, this is the job. This is what we expect, and here's how I make money at your job. If you can't do this job, then you can't work here, and we're going to figure that out in about 30 days.
Right.
So we have a 30-day trial period, a 60-day trial period.
Do you recommend that that people actually do that? They have kind of set that up front with their hourly employees, like, we're going to try this on for size for a month?
Yeah, because I mean, again, especially at work at will states or whatever. Yeah, I mean, here's the job. Here's what you got to do, and if you can't do it, you can't work here. Right. So before you accept this job offer, we're going to talk about what the job is and how we measure success, and we're going to go forward from there. And if you can do the job, then great. Then the company's going to make money, and hopefully you can have a structure in place where they get rewarded as well. And I'm not talking about rewards just monetarily. That's nice too. Maybe they get a bonus every quarter or once a year or something like that. But they get rewarded in the fact that in a year, 6 months, 18 months, they can have a new position within the company because they know what their job is. They're doing that job. What's the next job you need them to do? Or what are the additional responsibilities? Money is important, don't get me wrong, but this day and age, more people want to know that they're making a difference, and they want to know where they're going with their career. Right. But we get so wrapped up in the fear of, can I hire this person? And we had talked about this in San Francisco as well, the whole hope or hire, hope, and hang on, and transitioning that mentality to recruit, hire, and train, saying, okay, here's what we want you to do, and here's where we think you can go if you're successful at doing it. And when a lot of people are starting out, they hire for help, and there's nothing wrong with that. And what I say is, the owner operator, there's a line there, and below that line, and that line is your abilities as the owner operator. So below that line, you are hiring for help, someone that doesn't have the skills and abilities you have. So the advantage of that is it's cheaper. That's cheaper than what it costs you as an employee doing what you do. Above the line, meaning someone that's even better at your skills or abilities, that's going to cost you more, but you get more freedom. Right. Meaning you're not going to have to be on the job site. You can focus on sales and running the business. So I find that a lot of times people will hire for help first, and that's fine. That's certainly what they need. They need hands-on, warm bodies and people handing them tools. Hopefully you can train this person, but eventually you can only hire so much help because you can only train and spread yourself amongst so many people that are below your abilities at some point. And that's where the trick comes in, is when do we hire that person that's better than us?
Right.
And I'm not talking about just the field. That's where we get saying, you know what? I've been doing the books for a few years. I'm not really good at it because that's not my specialty. I need to hire someone above my abilities to do the books. So it's uncomfortable. I'm going to pay a bookkeeper $25-$40 an hour, but that's hiring above your abilities. And you're going to get freedom from the books. You're going to get freedom from estimating if you brought in a project manager or an estimator.
So, right. I mean, if everything costs something, right? It's going to cost money or time or whatever. So I guess, sometimes you have to make the decision, well, I got a lot of free time in my business, so it's going to be cheaper for me to do this myself, do the books myself. But if you are passing up the ability to make $60 an hour out in the field because you're sitting at a desk making $0 an hour or saving $25 an hour by not hiring somebody, then that's what you're talking about. It's sort of like the trade-off there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You're constantly trading off money for experience and time. And time's the biggest thing, especially when you're starting out.
Now, what do you say about the people who are afraid to hire because, or, you talk about kind of this growth plan, like give your employees something that they're working towards. Like, hey, here's where you're at right now. Give me a couple of years and show me you can make me more money, and then you can move up to this level and get paid this much more money. I feel like a lot of employers are afraid to show the employees too much for fear that they're going to then go out and be competitors to them.
Yeah, but what you have to do when you show the employees and train them, and that's why I think that all business owners should be teaching their employees how it is that you make money in the construction business, so that they understand. So sure, you're going to expose them to some training and some knowledge that it probably took years to get, but what you're also going to expose them to through the training is just how hard it is to do what it is that you're doing and be successful. So, hey, we're going to train you on some technical skills, and we're going to expose you to how to read a profit and loss statement and what your value is worth. And but we're also going to show you we pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in expenses every year. We're going to show you how much money the government actually takes every time we make a dollar.
So you're saying you're just going to scare them into ever wanting to own their own business?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Yeah, if you just show them the good stuff, like, hey, the thing about employees too is they look at a business owner and they think they're rich. I don't care how big or small the company is. The employees think that the owner is just sitting on a wheelbarrow full of money and just waiting to hand it out. They have no idea that the business owner hasn't taken a paycheck, has taken out a line of credit to meet payroll, and they're hoping to get that. They spent $5,000 on building a relationship with the right architect to get on the bid list to try to get that next thing. They have no idea. And so when you show them that level of risk that the business owner is doing, it scares them a little bit, but it also builds loyalty, meaning why would I want to go out and try and do all of this risk myself? Because I've got a future here. I've got a plan, and I appreciate that the owner doesn't make me take any of this stuff home with me.
Right.
Meaning I just get to show up, do my best work, and I get a paycheck.
Yep.
And that's what I say is, a lot of business owners are scared to train them on the business side because they think they'll take the information and leave. And I say it's better to train them and have them leave than to not train them and have them stay. Because if they stay and they don't understand it, they're going to think you're rich. They're going to think you're hoarding all the money. Show them a little bit of the insanity that it is to run a construction business and the weight that is carried on your shoulders. And that's why I always say you want to spread the insomnia out a little bit. If the owner of the business is the only one that's losing sleep at night, then the employees probably aren't feeling the level of responsibility that they need to have to further their careers. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't want your employees to bear the burden of your bad decisions. That's not what I'm talking about. But Your good employees that want to grow, they're going to grow because they're taking on more responsibilities and they can handle more stuff. With that comes a level of insomnia that's healthy for them to understand.
Sure.
When the customer calls and it's storming outside and we miss something, it's the owner that's out there, pulling the tarps and doing all these things, or it's the people that are taking responsibility for that relationship with the client. So I say, yeah, show them what the plan is, teach them as much as you can, and then spread the insomnia out a little bit.
I love spread the insomnia out. That's great. So, but now you mentioned, the owner. Let's say that I'm transitioning to the point where I've got some employees, and I'm thinking, hey, I've been doing this for 25 years. I don't have anything saved, not anything purposeful. And, what's my exit strategy here? Can I sustain being out in the field as a framer, putting up rafters when I'm 50 years old, or do I need to have an exit strategy where I'm still making some money, but I'm not out there doing it every day myself?
Yeah, I mean, the first strategy is whether you're running a business, meaning you have multiple employees or multiple teams, or you want to be that one-man show and just do, you've got your clients that keep you busy and you do good work. Either way, you need to be making a profit. So in one sense, you're running a business or a group of systems that interact together to produce a profit, or you are the system. You're the sales, you're the production, you're all of that. In either of those situations, you need to be pulling some money and setting it aside. And for a big business, that's called profit. For the solopreneur or the independent guy, well, that's also called profit as well. You've got to put something to the side so that you do have an exit strategy. So from that standpoint, it's like we got to generate profits. After everything is paid, do we have any money left over? And that's beyond what we've paid ourselves to work in the business.
Right. Okay. So hold on. Let's dig into that though. What you've paid yourself to work in the business. So, I don't think that a lot of people maybe grasp that. Like, if you're the owner of the business and you walk away with a net profit at the end of the year of 40 grand, whatever, that's your money. Like, on a personal level, like great, I got 40 grand, I'm gonna buy a new truck, or I'm gonna go take the family on vacation. You suggest that they should be paying themselves more like a salary?
Yes. Well, they, at least on paper.
Okay.
Meaning if you're an owner operator and you're spending 75% of your time out in the field, and again, that could be 40 hours a week because you're working 60 or whatever, but again, back to some of our examples. Let's say that you're a lead carpenter. When you're working out in the field, you have to determine what's the value if you weren't able to work and you had to hire somebody at your skill level. Mm-hmm. That's the salary that you should be paying yourself minimum.
That's a great way to think of it. Yeah.
That's the level of employee that you would have to pay. So that's one avenue for compensation for the owner operator. The other area, and this is where most guys miss it, is all of the time that you spend estimating, project managing, sales, running the business. There's a value to that too. And if you don't figure that into your pricing strategy, then you're giving that work away. So that when you I don't want it to sound morbid, but when you get hit by a bus, you can hire the lead carpenter for $30 an hour because that's what you were charging your clients already. That's kind of what you figured in. But if you didn't figure in your part-time work as a CEO, administrator, sales guy, or whatever, when you're laid up in the hospital, you can get the work done, but now you can't get paid, or you don't have the money to pay someone else to come in and do the expenses side, that kind of stuff.
Right. So it's not, I can't just start my own carpet installation company and decide from day one that I want to make 80 grand a year take home. I guess I could. I would just have to be able to charge enough to support it.
No. Well, yeah, charge enough to support it and just get the sales. Right. If you said, yes, hey, I want to make $150,000 a year and work by myself. Okay, good luck, because you only have so much time to put a certain volume of work in place that you might not be able to do it.
Right.
But if you added somebody else in at a $20 an hour rate, now you can do more work. and charge more. So yeah, say I want to make $100,000. Great. How are you going to make that? Well, I'm going to pay myself $80,000 as a lead carpenter. So that's $40 an hour. And the other $20,000, I'm going to pay myself as the administrator or the CEO of this business, but I'm only going to work 10 hours a week.
Right.
All right. That's what it takes me to work. So if I pay myself $20,000 an hour and it's essentially a part-time job, meaning 25% of the time, then that $20,000 is valued at $80,000 if someone were to do that full time.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. So how do you know as an owner when it makes sense to go that route of hiring out an employee? Like what's kind of the tipping point?
Typically, what I will see is especially if you're self-performing, a lot of work, is I have seen that owner operators can grow to two crews,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a little bit different for every business. Meaning whether your crew size is 2 or 3 guys, but once an owner operator is everything, meaning the systems for the whole business. Once you get to 2 crews, let's say that's 6 guys, 5 guys plus yourself, it is very, very difficult to get another crew on and you have time to service that crew like you did the first 2, because most of those guys in the 2 crews are learning through osmosis.
Right.
They're just learning by watching. Now, when you get to 6 guys, 7 guys, you can't be around everybody as much as you were, and you start seeing mistakes happen. The quality suffers, schedule starts slipping, and then when those things start happening, you can't charge for the level of quality and service that you were known for, and that becomes really, really hard. And that's usually the tipping point where people say, I just can't. I don't have any more time. But I need more guys, or we have more crews now. That's where you get into, okay, well, I've got to bring in a project manager, but I don't even really know what the project manager does because I've just kind of been doing all of it. And then you start designing those positions to say, okay, let's bring somebody in, and they're going to be a part-time project manager and a part-time estimator. That will relieve those duties from the owner operator, because the owner operator can't necessarily go back into the field. They've got to go get the 3rd crew to keep up with the work.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of that transition off from the tools off, and it can be very, very hard if it's not planned for.
Well, so all of this sounds good. What about the mistakes of growing too fast? What I've heard you talk about, you've kind of made it, in person or on other podcasts, you've kind of mentioned it in passing, but we haven't really dug into that. So what are the warning signs that you're growing too fast, in your opinion?
Real easy. If you start buying vehicles and you haven't done a cost analysis on them, like we had talked about before, adding a truck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we need a truck because we've got some more guys. Do we have it figured out what the revenue per employee is? Or you could even bring revenue per truck. Do we have that revenue yet? Like, I know we need a truck. Right. Because we're super busy, but do we have the numbers to justify that? That's one thing, is when we just start spending money because we think we're growing, and what you're really doing is just scaling up your problems.
Right. Okay. So you're just sliding everything up in the same percentage wise. But that's kind of hard to see from it's easy enough to do the math on something like that, but it can be hard to know when you're going a little too big, too fast, right?
Well, if you need some guardrails, then again, these are just kind of rules of thumb to test them, and that's what you got to do. You got to test something out and see if it works for you and your business. And if you grow by 15% year over year in 5 years, you'll double the size of your business. Whatever that is, whether you're growing your income, whether you're growing your workforce, whether you're growing your expense, whatever it is, you'll double the size of that business in 15 years. And 15 to 20% is pretty manageable. It's pretty sustainable.
Okay.
And when you see these, but when you're starting out too, when you go from 1 guy to 2 guys, you're going to be able to do maybe $250,000 the first year. You add another guy in, you're going to jump to $500,000. That's just because you've got another person. beyond that, you need to say, okay, can we, so that revenue per employee, 2 guys doing $500,000 worth of work is $250,000 per employee.
Right.
Now you need to start looking at how can we get our revenue per employee up? Can we get to 260, 275? You added 3 more guys and it seems like you're growing, but the real trick is your revenue per employee might start dropping.
Right.
So you've got to set some metrics up to say, okay, what is good, sustainable growth?
Such as, I mean, what would metrics be? I mean, it's...
Yeah, just like income. Meaning if, okay, hey, we did $500,000 this year and trends are, and we've already got 750 on the books for the next 6 months.
Right.
Guess what? You're going to have a whole lot of pain and you're going to lose a lot of money because that's a 50% growth in an 8-month time period, 9-month time period. And without a lot of back end support, a lot of systems in place, you're just going to be burning through money because you just can't keep up with it. It's very, very difficult. And so, so I would every time I see 35% growth, that's going to be not necessarily a red flag. It's just going to be, all right, we need to hunker down and might need to spend some more money on a CPA, meaning instead of just doing our taxes, we need to have them doing quarterly reports for us to make sure, because 35% growth over some period of time may not be sustainable. If you don't know why you're growing, if it's always just top end, hey, we're getting busier, that's certainly a key that you're going to be hurting, and on the back end, the profits. You're going to burn through a lot of money. And without running out those numbers, you're going to think, well, we got a lot of work. Let's buy another truck. Let's buy some more tools. Let's hire some more guys.
Right.
And you grow really, really fast, and then you work a lot of hours, and then you look down at the bottom and you say, we didn't make any more money.
Right.
You could see the cash could be up, meaning I would rather a company that's doing $500,000. I would rather a company that's doing $500,000 in business make a 6% net profit than $1 million company doing a 3% net profit.
Right.
Because the money is the same, but the headaches are probably quadrupled.
Yeah, you're not kidding about that. Well,
so you just gotta. Growth is fun and growth is exciting, and that's what you want. But fast, undisciplined growth will put you out of business faster than running out of money. And that's usually what will happen is you'll run out of money.
Okay. Well, that's what we have you for. So we can we can hop onto your website. We can get in touch with you, and you'll have lovely video chat conversations with us and solve all our problems, right?
That's right.
Yeah, you must get a lot of people who really are embarrassed to admit how little they know about this business stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's comforting for me in a way, because when I start talking to somebody, that's kind of the advantage of being somewhat of a stranger to them. They'll tell me things that I'm sure they haven't shared with their family members, and I hear that a lot. They'll just say, I'm kind of ashamed that I'm doing it like this. And I just got to tell them, like, the fact that you reached out and called somebody is a huge step, a huge advantage for your business. And I tell people when I talk to them, I've talked to so many hundreds and hundreds of construction business owners now. There's nothing that anyone can say that I haven't already heard before. And when people start describing their issues and their problems, I can kind of say, well, what are you also experiencing this and this? And I bet that this is going on, and they feel like it's almost like therapy. Yeah. They're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, the reason I know this is because, first of all, I've been there, but everybody else I talk to, they have these same issues. You're not alone. You didn't screw up. It's not you. It's this cycle that a lot of construction business owners have to go through.
Right.
It's no different than if you interviewed a bunch of people in Silicon Valley and talked about the tech startup business. Those entrepreneurs, those business owners would describe the same things, and they all feel alone.
Right.
They all feel like they messed it up. This is just what I do in the industry that I'm in. And so it's fun in a way to be able to connect with so many contractors and just say, hey, you're not doing anything wrong. Now, we need to work out the math, and you need to apply the math in this way. You need to communicate with your employees or whatever. But how you got here, man, it's what everybody else is going through. It's kind of part of the process.
It's the Shawn Van Dyke support group.
That's right. That's right.
So
if everybody had it figured out, then I wouldn't have a job. Right. So,
well, we got everybody a little bit of free tips today.
That's right.
In these two episodes. So visit ShawnVanDyke.com, findhomebuilding.com/podcast to watch a video version of this. And you have can we tease your book coming out, or is it too soon?
No, I mean, we can tease it. That'll just put more pressure on than I got to get it out.
I like that.
Hey, I thought you guys mentioned that. Yeah. So I'm writing a book, Profit First for Contractors. And it will be out in November, fingers crossed.
Nice.
And, I'm going to be in, Baltimore at the Remodeling Deck and JLC live show there. And I'm going to be doing a presentation on that. It's called, Cash Cow. So if you're going to be in Baltimore, look for that session.
Beautiful. Well, Shawn, I appreciate you taking out some time, sit down with us for these 2 episodes, and I hope that we get to have you back again soon. If we have any listeners in the audience who have specific questions that they'd like to have us do with Shawn, maybe we can make this a semi-regular occurrence where we frequently ask questions with the business guru.
FAQ with SVD. I like that.
Yeah,
something like that.
You can also hop on to findhomebuilding.com. We'll give you a link to the Building Business blog, where Shawn, among other business experts, will contribute on a regular basis blogs with little how-tos and clarification on how to make your business profitable and successful. So thanks again, Shawn, and we'll catch you guys all next time for a regular episode of the Fine Home Building Podcast. Until next time, this is Justin for Shawn and Jeff saying keep craft alive and happy building.